insight, Alex.
Awesome, great, thank you. So yeah, once again, thanks a lot for joining this hybrid cloud management X technical user group. So this is the May version of HCMX. Yeah, last month we had a group discussion about the technical awareness webinar of 2022-05. And if you haven't watched that, please go to the community page. I have already uploaded the video, and even before, we also presented the HCMX administration and operations, and we kind of like walk you through multiple integrations and configurations. So please take a look into it and feel free to post your questions. So as usual, I want to just quickly walk you through the confidential information. Well, we are not going to share any roadmap items, so yeah, I can quickly skip this. But this is the today's agenda. So I want to definitely give you a brief introduction about HCMX. I see a lot of new faces today, and thanks a lot for joining this practitioner group. And today's highlight is how HCMX integrate with LDAP, especially to bring the user and the user groups. And I'm also going to talk about how the authentication and authorization works in general. So those are all the key topics, but our major focus will be on how we are able to integrate with LDAP and bring in the users and user groups and use it with the features like a group access to subscription. And of course, I'm going to touch upon the next group meeting topic. Regular housekeeping. Yeah, of course, this is for definitely the technical practitioners and of course our internal Micro Focus employees and partners. And kindly share the link to your colleagues or even to your partners, and get the benefit if they can. Definitely they can get benefit if they join this session. And again, I'm just repeating. Please feel free to share any topic that we want to cover as part of this webinar. We will be very much happy to do that. Maybe even part of this webinar, or if you want to have an offline conversation, kindly let us know. And yeah, any feedback, please put it in the chat or ask it as a question in the question panel. So let's go into the core values. Again, this is just a natural progression that the product has gone through from CSA days to now HCM X and now HCM SaaS. So we all know this. It has taken a big transformation from a simple standalone product, which is still offering a good amount of automation functionalities, but then we evolved it as a container-based solution, adding multiple other feature sets like the cost governance and image aggregation. Now we are here with much more broader capabilities with respect to governance. So we talked about it a lot. And in a nutshell, if you look at, these are the detailed capabilities, but I don't want to go too much into the details, but at a high level, I want to just touch upon the use cases that the product solves and helps the IT operations team and also benefits a lot of our customers. So let me just quickly go into the use cases. The first and the foremost is the provisioning part, the provisioning automation. So if you if you have already seen that there are a lot of proliferation of cloud coming out from different regions. I'm not talking only about the hyperscalers, even the local cloud, managed cloud. So if you look at even the hyperscalers, they give multiple marketplace portal, and these marketplace portal contains thousands and thousands of images. I'm sorry, the offerings, and it can be a simple compute or a software or even a SaaS offering. Well, it is good if I'm owning a single cloud where I can just go into the cloud portal and then look for a particular service, and then if I find it good, then I can add it to my developers catalog. But the reality is we are seeing at least minimum of 2 cloud uh, what do you call cloud connections that the customers are currently owning. So, and also apart from the private cloud, so that's a different story altogether. So with minimum of 2 cloud that the customers are already having, they now have to interface with 2 different cloud portal with 2 different marketplace, each offering 5,000, each comes down to like 10,000 services. And if I want to offer a simple Tomcat service, I need to log in to each of the marketplace portal, look for the particular service, get the information, look for the instance sizes, price tag especially, and the services. And again, I have to repeat the same step for another set of another portal coming from a different public cloud. So if I simply want to offer a simple service, I need to do like 1 to 12 steps, and that is going to be a time consuming. And like I mentioned, if I'm an IT operations team, I will severely lag, offering the services to my LOB teams, and that's what the product is trying to solve. So the product offers integration with multiple cloud, especially AWS, Azure, and GCP. And the good news is it brings all those thousands of services into one single page where you can simply use the built-in search engine, get the actual required service, do a side-by-side comparison between the cloud, or even within the same cloud, where if I want to compare the same Tomcat offering coming from two providers or two publishers, and both may be coming up with different price tag, different services, and you want to do a side-by-side comparison from the same UI without hovering to multiple portals. And that's one of the capability the product offers. And then if you want to customize, well, there is a service designer where you can get the benefit of the product automatically creating the service design for you with all the workflows pre-baked, and all you need to do is just go add your workflows. Or even if you want to add more services, well, you should be able to do it. So at the end, you get two major benefits. One is time saving, another one is you'll be able to customize even the public cloud services using the service designer, which can cater to your LOB needs. So that's the first use case. The second one is budget tracking and cloud spend insight. So you as a IT administrator, now we have offered many services from different public cloud, but who is going to track about the cloud spend, and how are you going to deal with the recommendations coming from different public cloud, even the billing data produced by different public cloud, right? So that's going to be a challenging task, and that's where HCMX offers a fully baked financial module which can help you to track the expenses that the LOB teams are making, and that can help you to compare between the budget and what is the expense. And it also provide the forecasted information, the forecast information. Say for example, I have 50 teams, and 50 teams expense is about, like, let's say $50K, and that is as of today. But what if they continue to use the same service for the next 3 weeks, or maybe next 3 months? And what is the budget I need to allocate for the next quarter, right? If I have to know that information, the product already offers for you, but that is only at the offering level. And if I need to go into the details of the actual cost, and that's where this cost governance report comes into the picture, where from the cost governance reports, you will be going to the details of compute, storage, the products, especially when I say product, your LOB teams may be, or application teams may be using multiple products from different public cloud services, let's say AWS and Azure, and HCMX will capture all of that. Whether you're provisioning using HCMX or not, the product will go identify the cloud spend and give it as a report for you in a slice and dice manner. But again, if you want to further customize, there are a number of filter options out of the box that is available, or if you want to add more filter options, that is also possible. And moreover, there is an option for you to set the budget or cost limit for a particular account. So in AWS, there is a master account, and there can be multiple sub accounts. You can set a budget for all the sub accounts. For example, you may assign a sub account to a particular team and assign a particular budget, or maybe maybe like $500 per week or $500 per month. Well, that's what we get here as a product manager. I cannot compare myself with the engineering team where they spend in multiple thousands. So I'm just taking an example. So I can actually get the budget, I can set it for my team, and then I can track how much they're spending on each public cloud. And for instance, if it exceeds automatically, I get an alert, and then I go and check who is spending where through the report, and then I go ask the team to either optimize it by right sizing, or maybe I will go ask them to shut down because if it is ideal resource, right? So that's the data that product offers for you. And there is also another item where it can help discover the pay-as-you-go instances, which can tell you what if you're going to continue the pay-as-you-go instance for let's say the next 1 year, and if you're going to spend 20K, it can automatically give you a calculation that if you convert the pay-as-you-go into the reserved instance, you may be saving 10K immediately, or maybe 15K or 20K. And that data you need to know, because you will have to go talk to the cloud vendor to give the instance sizes, and accordingly they will be able to provide the reserved instance. So it can automatically be available on that particular region. So well, these are all some of the capabilities. And the last one is closed loop control process, especially for the governance guardrails. This is one of the key feature. Well, it is very simple. When you create an offering, you can actually put number of policies, and the policies may include like, okay, if the developer is providing an input for a port, let's say 2022, which is not the port that they are supposed to use it, and no machine should have a 2022 port, right? So that is also one of the policies that you can add. Or maybe you can get the approved list of instance sizes, and the user should always pick up only from the list. That is also possible. Or you can validate whether the particular network interface is assigned to a particular user who is part of a team. Well, that is also possible. All good. But once the resource gets provisioned, as you know, the product automatically stores all this information as a configuration item within the UCMDB. So that is inbuilt capability. And next day, if you want to come and look for a non-compliance item, let's say for example you are introducing a new policy. All the dev VMs should not have more than 16 GB of RAM. That's a new policy you want to introduce in order to save some cost, right? So all you can do is go to the UCMDB layer. You can create a quick policy, run the scan that will automatically give you the list of servers. And of course, if you have attached the owner information, group information, that also will come as part of the report, which you can share it with the respective application team. They can just take the information, go into the subscription page, run the modify to right size it. So that's the closed loop control process. But with that, it doesn't stop there, right? So you got the scanning done, you identify the non-compliance item, and then the application team also took an action to right size it. But what if they again going to request the service, and this time if they're requesting for 16 GB, what will happen? And that's where the product allows you to add quickly another policy to check for the new request. If they are providing an input of 16 GB, it will automatically validate, and it will tell you're not supposed to use 16 GB. Maybe you can use less than that. So that's the closed loop control process that we are talking about. Well, these are all something recognized by many analysts, and we are being appreciated for this feature, which are part of this HCMX. Yeah, in a nutshell, we not only cater to the IT operations team, but also the end users. And I can talk a lot, but let's go into the actual topic, and maybe in a next call I can go into the details of each and every other item here. Yeah, this is just a recap, like where are we with respect to the analyst. So with that, I want to give the stage to Arun, who can walk us through the today's spotlight agenda. Yeah, over to you, Arun.
All right, thanks, Alex. So let me share my screen. Can you make me the presenter again, Alex?
Sure. Just quickly. Yeah, you are an organizer. Let me quickly. Yep, please check.
Okay. Yeah, so can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So today I will be going through the LDAP integration with HCMX, and also we have introduced a new functionality in HCMX 2020-05, which is a group-owned subscription functionality. So it is critical for us to see how we can do the LDAP configurations and then get the groups, and then also how to synchronize the users from the LDAP into these groups and then for that we will be using Connect IT, and then I will go over the Connect IT and how we have integrated so those functionalities in detail. Okay, so let me start by showing you the group ownership functionality. So then I will deep dive into the aspects of how those groups are being shown and things like that. So here I have a 2022-05 instance. So I've logged in as one of the LDAP users. So let me go into the service, what I have here. Okay, so if you see the server, so these are the usual things. So but in O5, so you can see this one small checkbox called enable group owned subscriptions. So this is similar to the HCM group ownership function, wherein you can enable that and then add the groups, and then the users of that particular group will be the owners of the subscription what you're going to create, right? So that means the users of that group will be able to manage completely, um, do any operations, as well as cancel that particular subscription. So over here, you can see that once I enable um, this functionality here on this particular service, which I'm going to create, so you can see different levels of options. So one is a full access, modify, operate, and cancel. So under each of these, so I can add the groups. So these are all the groups which the user belongs to. So it's a filtered group, and it will only show the groups which the user owns. So and also you can see there are three different or four different options here. So the full access is going to give the users of this group, whatever I select, uh, the complete access to the subscriptions, which mean they can modify, operate, or cancel everything, right? So it's a full permissions. But what if you don't want that, and then you want to give a different group for cancel, and a different set of group for modification, and then a different set of group for operations, right? So you can do that by individually selecting different groups what you want to do um, against each of those functionalities. Okay, so this was the same functionality what we had in HCM as well. So in HCM we had the similar three levels of modification, operation, and cancellation, as well as you can give the full access. So that's the same set of functionalities is what is being built into HCMX as well now. So you can start using this, and then the users will be able to manage, the group of users will be able to manage a single subscription. Okay, so now the question will be from the administrative perspective, right? So how will these groups get shown here? How do we manage the users within those groups? How we can get that from LDAP and things like that, right? So to understand that further, so let me dive into my tenant portal. So this is my tenant. So I've logged in as a tenant admin. And then if I go onto the people, right? So I have different users here. So the user which had logged in was Arun. So this was the user. So and then you can see that so this user belongs to these three functional groups, right? So it is only going to show the functional groups which that user belongs to. So how do we get these groups, right? So there are two ways. Either you can create the group here using this group tab, which is, by the way, in the administration, you go to the people tab, and then you get into this console, and then go to the group tab. So this is a list of all the groups, and then I have few additional groups which I have got from the LDAP. So you can either create the group here by using this option, or you can import that from an LDAP, right? So that's what I have done here. So for example here, right? So I have this engineering development group, right? So this I have embraced from or imported from my LDAP, and then you can see it has these many users, right? So how do we do this? So this has to be a functional group if it has to be listed, right? And then how do we go about getting the groups imported from LDAP into SMAX? To do that, first thing is you have to go to the BO portal where you would add the LDAP configurations into the BO portal. So let me log in to my BO. Okay, so then we go to the respective tenant, and then this is my current tenant. So I go to the IDM settings from there, right? So I launch into the IDM. So I think many of you are familiar with all of these. So maybe you would have configured an LDAP. So basically you go and add an LDAP here. So go to the authentication tab. So go to the LDAP. So click on the LDAP and then you create and then configure the LDAP. So which I have already done here. So you configure your in credentials and then provide all the LDAP details just like how you were doing in the existing version, the older version of HCMX or HCM, right? So then you go and add the group which you want to import into or manage from, right? So for example, this is what I have done here. So you just add the group and then provide the group details. Once you provide the group details, cancel this. So once you provide the group details, so you will be able to associate the group to the LDAP. So that's when you provide the group CN and then select the LDAP which you want and then you're done, right? So that's how you add a user, you add the group into the IDM. So now once the group is added, the IDM automatically synchronizes all the users um, into the uh, into the users tab here, right? So it does a roster load, and then the roster load will basically get all the users and then create those set of users here. Then you have to get those users into the BO portal. So to do that, you go to the accounts and then I mean, ideally, if you just add the group and then leave it, so the roster sync will happen, and then there is automatically a scheduled synchronization, um, which is to a set frequency, right? And then it automatically synchronizes into the BO, and then finally gets into the tenant portal here in the people, right? So let's say you don't want to wait, and then you want to manually synchronize. So then you click on the sync button. So this will synchronize the users from IDM into the PO, and then finally you come and click the sync here in the people. So all those users will get synchronized here immediately. But if you don't want to do it immediate, so then just add the group in here, and then automatically on the scheduled frequency, it will get synchronized and then get reflected. Okay. But once you do that, so the group actually doesn't get synchronized over here, right? So the group will exist, but the users won't get synchronized. To address that problem, so we need an integration with Connect IT. But remember that in upcoming releases, we are working on to even synchronize that through the scheduled jobs. But right now, I think you have to leverage Connect IT in order to um, do this synchronization between the LDAP group um, and the group within this tenant portal. Okay, so uh, let me show you how the Connect IT uh, is all about, right? So primarily the use case, what I'm going to talk about is when compared to HCM. So in HCM, what we used to do is we used to add the LDAP groups in the organizations, right? In HCM or CSA, right? So and then you basically uh, just use those groups as is within the group ownership functionality, which I think pretty much you are going to do even here in HCM. And then all the users who are part of the group is going to own that particular subscription. So which means, let's say you have a new user onboarded, a new employee onboarded into your organization, and then he's been added into um, a particular group, let's say a development team, right? So he or she has been added into that group, and then immediately that user will start owning all the subscriptions which is owned by that particular group through that group own functionality. So you don't need to do anything additional or extra in HCM to do that, because the LDAP group is what we are going to use. And currently in HCMX, so that LDAP group is nothing but the functional group. But that synchronization between that LDAP and the functional group won't happen automatically unless we use an external tool like Connect IT, or you can always go and manually add them, right? So you can go and add them in the group. So let's say I want to add some more users, so I can go and add them as well. But we understand that nobody wants to manage each and every group, so you just manage in the LDAP, and then that's how you expect it to be synchronized. Um, so now how the Connect IT works. So Connect IT is an external tool which is a nice tool where you can add multiple connectors to it, and then it does all the synchronizations. It reads the data between various different uh, various different tools what it has connected to, and then it can pass in and map the data between them. So we are using that, we are leveraging that functionality to synchronize the LDAP and then import them into the HCMX. Over here, you can see that the users of the LDAP is still synchronized through IDM. So we want to bring the group into the IDM as is. And then once you add the group, and then the users get synchronized. So we don't want to bring in all the users into IDM manually. So that way it gets synced into the BO as well as in the tenant portal. So what we are using Connect IT is only to synchronize the groups and then maintain the user to group sync between the LDAP and HCMX. Okay. So Connect IT is part of the HCMX license, so you will get the Connect IT to be downloaded once you have the HCMX license. So you can download and then deploy it either on a Windows or a Linux platform, and then you can create your own scenarios, or you can use the scenarios what we'll be providing for this group synchronization. So the scenario is nothing but a logical flow which is used to connect to um, different tools and then synchronize the data, right? So that's what the connectivity is all about. So there is a scenario which we have built where you can use that and then synchronize the users from LDAP group into HCMX functional groups. So over here, you can see the whole flow. So there are 3 steps wherein there will be one step where you would, so I'll be showing the connectivity as well. And then I'll go over these. But at the high level, you want to understand, right? So this synchronization, it will connect to the LDAP, get the groups, and then connect to the HCM. So it uses these AMS person groups API. So if you have come across HCM, right? So there are 2 ways you can manage the groups and users. One of them is through the AMS, and another one is the managed person. So we're using both in order to create the group and then add the users into the group. So we use the managed person API. Okay. Um, and once you are familiar, and then once you use the scenarios, so you can also schedule them, and then it can run periodically. So you don't need to bother about running them every time you add or manage something in the LDAP or keep a tab on the changes in the LDAP. So right, so you can synchronize, you can schedule it, and then it can run periodically. So all those functionalities are available in connectivity. All right, so let me log into my Connect IT real quick. Um, yeah, so this is my Windows VM, so where I have connectivity installed, configured, and everything done. All right, so as I was showing you in the slide, so I have the scenario which I already have created. So you will be made available with this scenario in case if you need. So on the left hand side, you can see a bunch of the tools which it can connect to, and then different protocols it supports and all those things. So it's just drag and drop. So you can drag and drop the LDAP, drag and drop the HCMX or the, you can see the service management, right? So the service management connections, and then basically you use the mapping to do that. Okay, so real quick, I'm not going to cover very detailed about the scenario, but real quick, I just want to give you a glimpse of how this whole thing works, right? So first thing we do is we fetch all the groups from this. So you can see every connector, so there will be two things. One is the input to that particular connection, and one is the output, the consumer and producer kind of a thing, right? So the producer over here for this LDAP connection is the groups. So you want to fetch all the groups from this, right? And then here is a small filter which we have added so that we don't want to fetch everything, but we want to control because there will be a number of groups in the LDAP and then you don't want to manage everything. So we just want to filter out, and then you can only provide the groups which you want to manage within HCMX, right? So that way you no need to get every data and then create all the groups within HCMX, right? So here we are going to fetch the groups from LDAP, and then over here that document, the group document is used, and then we are going to check whether that group already exists in HCMX. If not, we are going to create, otherwise we are going to update using this document, right? And then also we are going to get if it's already created and if it's already there, so we are going to get all the groups, all the users from that particular group. So how we do that? Basically, we use this mapping, right? So this mapping is basically, it will tell you what it has to do with this particular document, what has been created, right? So for example, here, so we are going to tell this particular uh, operation where it will say that the consumed uh, part is the group, and then it has to go and check the person group API, right? And then it has to say what is my parameter. So basically, I'm going to only filter and then get each of my uh, groups SAM account name, and then filter by the SAM account name, and then see if that group exists. If it is, then we are going to update it. If it's not, it's going to create that. Okay. So on same way for every group, it's going to do that, and then same way it's going to also synchronize the users. All right. So we can go in detail about the scenario and then check about it. But overall, this is how it is. So I will run the scenario and then I'll show you a little bit more details on what we can see and things like that. So let's see a working example of how we can synchronize the users. So what I have done here is, so I have created a new group in my LDAP um, called HCMX engineering demo. So let me just go and remove a couple of users for this demonstration. So I want to, let's say, only synchronize 3 users for now. Okay. So to save our time, so what I have already done is I have already added the HCMX engineering demo here in the LDAP. And since I already had all the 5 users, so you can see that all those users are already synchronized within my IDM. And then it's also present in the people in the tenant, right? So I have all those. It's coming up. Yeah. So you can see all those users already are available here. But what you see is the group is still not uh, available. So you can see there is no group called HCMX engineering demo. So which I want to synchronize now, and then see if it gets created through the connect IT, and then see if all the users also gets added up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to update. I'm going to add one more group to my uh, search panel here. So let me real quick see if I think the connection timed out. So let me save this and then connect again. You can ignore this error, that's fine. Yeah, so I think it connected again. So let's see if now we can get the groups. Ignore this error. Yeah, so you can see that I got 3 groups now, product management engineering and engineering demo. So exactly based on my filter. And then you can also see here, so when it fetches that particular group, so you can see all the users also as well, part of the group. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is to run this scenario now. So I'm all going to do is execute this. So you can ignore this error. So this just seeing them some LDAP issue there, but it's connecting and then it's working well. Okay, so it has run this whole scenario. So you can see that every step is getting executed. So it checked the group, it created the group, and also it created the users. So real quick, I'm going to check the last few things here. Yeah, so you can see that it added these users also into the group called engineering, and then engineering user 1, 2, 3 is added. Right, so you can see this is basically a managed person API. So you can see these UPNs and then getting added and everything done. All right, so now if you go and then refresh here, so it may take a little while for synchronization, but it might come up real quick as well. Yeah, so it has come up as well. So you can see that this group is now real quick synchronized, and then it added all the users and done, right? So real quickly I can test and then see if I'm going to drop, let's say, one user, right? And then I'm going to add user 4, right? For some reason for the demo purpose. So then, so yeah, if I go to the connect IT and then rerun the scenario again. So this connect IT, even though it shows this, so this is real quick. So it does all the synchronizations very fast. So you can see, so it doesn't take too much time in order to do. Yeah, so you can see that it has engineering 4 added, and then I think there should be one more area where it would have. Yeah, so you can see that engineering 3, it has detected that it has been dropped, so it has removed the engineering 3 user. Okay, or engineering user 3 user. So let's see if that got reflected. Yeah, sometimes this takes a little while because it runs as a job, and then the job completes, then it gets reflected. Yeah, so it's done now. So you can see the 3 is removed and then 4 is added. So basically it maintains the synchronization whenever you run the job. So you can schedule it, and then you will know that the user is automatically will be managed. So then once you now, let's say, log into the portal, um, let me log in as the engineering user. Yep. ENGG user 1. Okay, so now I should be able to create a subscription, and then I should be able to see the demo group. Right, so once I enable, so I should be able to, oops, yeah, I think I'm scrolling too fast. Okay, so you can see the engineering demo group being shown here. So you can also, as I was saying, so you can also manage the groups from this console, right? So basically, if I can go and add, let's say, engineering user 1, and then I save, then I should be immediately be able to see the engineering product here. Probably I can refresh once. Yeah, user 1. Yeah, so you can see that engineering product and the users will be shown. So only thing you have to remember is once you add the user, um, and if it's a LDAP user, then it's going to check and then remove the user if it's Connect IT managed. If it is not, then you can manage on your own. So either way, you can do it. It's up to you. So you can do it from this group, so it will be really easy and really quick, or you can do it from LDAP. So which means you have to do it only on the LDAP. So only once you have to do it from the Bio portal at the group, and then you will be done. And then the group will be synchronized, and then you just have to continue like how you used to do in HCM days. Yeah, so I think pretty much that's what I had. Alex, you want me to add or show anything
No,
else?
I think pretty much you covered, Arun. First of all, thanks a lot for going in a good detailed manner. And there are a lot of questions in the question panel. So
Mhm.
I kind of answered everything.
Okay,
Especially
that's
there is
good.
a question around the scenarios. Yeah, so where can the audience get the scenario that you're demonstrating? So I mentioned that we will be publishing it in the IDOM Marketplace portal with
Correct.
appropriate documentation as part of the practitioner portal. So yeah, so
Yeah,
because this is a customized one, of course it can also be used as a generic template, but yeah, that is something we will work on it.
correct. Yeah. So we'll publish this so as a sample to start with. So you can use this if it's working for you. Otherwise, you can customize. Um, so one thing is once we publish, so just have to remember, so you might have to do some configurations, right? So you have to say how you can do is basically you have to say configure connector. So you have to change your LDAPs settings and things like that here, and then click finish. And same way you have to configure your SMAX or the HCMX tenant, uh, the tenant information, and then the user, what you want to use it. So this has to be the user which this has to be a tenant admin user. So you just have to provide that so that it has to create those groups and users. You have to do it in two places here, right? So and the only other thing you might have to adjust over here is all uh, the mappings, right? Uh, Yeah, so for example, here we are using the SAM account name. So let's say you don't want to use the SAM account name and then you want to use any other attribute, so you can use that. And the same way over here, if you see, once we create the group or once we synchronize the group, right, yeah, I think here. So you can adjust these properties of DNs and things like that over here. right? So this mapping also you have to adjust that from within here. So you have to see what DN you want, what name you want. You want to add more properties, you can add, right? So those customizations you might have to do it. That's all. Otherwise, this scenario will work mostly for all the use cases.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other specific questions regarding this demo so I can deep dive or maybe answer or show that in detail?
Yeah, so what I can do is I can unmute all of you and yep, you can actually ask the questions directly. But I think mostly all the questions I answered.
Okay.
If you find anything unanswered, please, put it on the question panel, or you can unmute yourself and you can, ask us. And like I mentioned, this one will be available, the scenario will be available as a template or a sample from ITER Marketplace portal, and we will add a corresponding documentation for this so that you could use it. By the way, we are also improvising this LDAP integration. So, well, for authentication purpose, the customer need not to go with this Connect IT because you, the customer will integrate LDAP from the back office, and automatically it will get synced up, with IDM, and all the authentication will happen through that. But if you want to make use of the LDAP groups as part of the tenant portal, for example, as Arun mentioned, if you want to use LDAP group as functional group, this is the best way to import the LDAP groups. If you don't want to go via manual approach, and of course, we also plan to improvise the user experience to provide a native experience, but this is really working good. And more importantly, you can customize the filter options, and you can customize the logic to import different LDAP uh, groups into the tenant portal. That's one of the reason this will be very handy when you're dealing with LDAP. Of course, connectivity also can help you import database records or even Excel records into HCMX. But yeah, we will try to cover it in a different time frame. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. So Arun is showing the LDAP integration from back office, which can help you to do the authentication, and authorization anyway happens with the same back office.
Right. So yeah, it's only authentication, and then you don't need to use connectivity, and then
Correct.
all the users will automatically get synchronized. You will be able to log in and everything. Only in case if you want to use the group own functionality and then use the functional groups, and then you want to synchronize the users between the LDAP group and the functional groups, then only you have to use connectivity.
Correct. Hey, thanks, Arun. Maybe let me take the control and I quickly, show a couple of slides, and then
Sure.
yeah, we can wind up. So let me share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Well, see, I'm actually highlighting the SaaS because this is one of the key area where we are actually focusing on. In the sense, we are actually getting a very good request from our customers to either migrate from existing classic product to HMX, or even from the newer customers who wants to fully onboard into HMX SaaS. So, well, if you are interacting with any customers, and if you're a partner, if you want to onboard into HCMX SaaS, please do let us know. And we have a variety of programs available for you to offer. And there are a lot of benefits that you will get compared to any other market vendor. Well, we can go into the details. And as I usually highlight, well, HCMX SaaS is ISO and SOC 2 certified, and we are doing a lot more certification. And if the customer wants to go versionless, and if they want to get access to the latest value added services, and skip all the license verification, and make sure that you do only pay as you go and not to go with the perpetual, yes, HCMX is the ideal solution for you. So that is one thing, and of course, the next session is going to be June 16th. The spotlight is going to be on FinOps, and we plan to cover a lot more about FinOps. Of course, giving you a overall market perspective, and where are we with respect to the FinOps, and what do we plan to introduce as part of the FinOps, area here. I mean, yeah, just to give you a heads up, like FinOps has three major pillars: inform, operate, and optimize. And we do have certain capabilities which can actually fit into these three pillars. And again, like I mentioned, I'm going to explain what we plan to introduce a lot more in the upcoming releases. So stay tuned, and please do share your feedback, and please do send if you want us to cover any topic as part of this technical webinar. We will be happy to do that for you. And like I mentioned, please do reach out to us offline if you want to have a detailed conversation about the product. So I think that's pretty much we want to share today, and I believe you will be getting 7 minutes back. And thanks a lot for joining this webinar today, and have a great rest of the day, and please stay safe, and meet you in the next webinar. Thank you. Take care.